Good morning, everyone. Hopefully everybody said rabbit, rabbit this morning before they did anything. Welcome to the August 1st Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Will you please stand and join me in Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'll wait for Commissioner Brown to have a seat. Okay, next up on our agenda is the approval of minutes. We have two sets. We have the July 5th and the July 18th minutes.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion. We approve both those sets of minutes as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes. Accounts payable.
Mr. President, I'd like to recommend the claims from July 20th, 2022 through August 1st, 2022 be approved without exception.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the accounts payable and vouchers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Payroll.
Mr. President, I would also like to recommend the payroll dated July 22nd, 2022 be approved without exception.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the payroll. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Area plan. Uzo amendment number 105. Mr. Hiddle?
Good morning. David
Morning.
Hiddle with the Area Plan Commission. We have two items before you today. The first one, Amendment 105. This is the last step in the adoption of an ordinance amendment that would move the responsibility for enforcement of the zoning ordinance from the Building Commissioner to the Area Plan Commission. I've been working on this ordinance with Mike Wolf and his crew and with Lafayette and West Lafayette, because whatever we change, they're going to have to live under as well. And everybody is in agreement with this. So it moves the responsibility for enforcement to the Area Plan Commission, and it provides some teeth in terms of enforcing this zoning ordinance. And another thing that it does is remove large responsibility for enforcement from external legal counsel, which is where things stand under the current ordinance. Pretty much external counsel becomes involved whenever a zoning violator is not cooperative, and it puts it in the hands of APC staff, so it's more of an administrative process. It really puts the burden of compliance on the violator. So, with that, if there aren't any questions, this is again the last stage in adoption, and I'll be visiting West Lafayette and Lafayette City Councils to talk through this as well.
Questions I have, David, is at one time ABC did do all the zoning enforcement.
Right.
Then I went to the Building Commission. Now you guys are wanting to take it back over.
Yep.
That's the easiest way to say it.
Come again?
That's the easiest way to say this.
True.
Clip note version.
True. It's unusual, I think, for building inspectors are experts in building code, and zoning ordinance is a very different animal. So usually zoning ordinance enforcement falls under the planning department or its equivalent in most places, and it's just sort of the more natural home for it.
Okay.
As I mentioned in the APC meeting, it's one of those things that's really refreshing that David's taken a look at. So I appreciate your work on this. I think this is a great idea. So,
Thank you.
Okay, this is a ordinance.
It is an
number.
ordinance.
Yes, so Bob said it's number 12.
Okay, so I'll make a motion.
2022-12-CM is what you're saying? Right. Okay.
I'm sorry, what was it? The full-
2022-12-CM.
Okay. With that, I'll make a motion. We approve ordinance 2022-12-CM.
Second.
Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak in favor or opposed to this ordinance? Not seeing anyone. Bob?
Byers,
Yes?
Brown,
Yes.
Murtaugh.
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-12-CM passes 3-0.
Okay.
And is the next one 13?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. President, I'll make a motion. We hear ordinance 2022-13-CM.
Second.
Okay. David?
Thank you. The second amendment is a kind of a minor amendment to the language of the zoning ordinance. Right now, the use is towing service and impound lots, which are considered among the most intense uses you can find in industrial or commercial districts, are allowed in the light industrial and medium industrial, but not heavy industrial zoning districts. We just think that's a quirk or an anomaly in the zoning ordinance. Not sure why that's the case, but we had a call from somebody who had interest in I3 zoned property and wanted to know if they could move in a towing lot there, and we can't justify the fact that it's not allowed in our intense district, but in our less intense district. So rather than have this guy rezone to basically account for an error in the ordinance, we're just fixing the ordinance to make more sense.
Any questions from anyone? Nothing? Anyone from the audience wants to speak in favor or opposed to this rezone? Not hearing none. Bob?
Brown,
Yes.
Murtaugh,
Yes.
and Byers.
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-13-CM passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Highway, Stuart?
Good morning.
Morning.
Got a few items here. Excuse me. The first item is a supplemental agreement number 3 for old US 231-500 South safety improvements. This is the design agreement with Butler, Fairman, Seifert. It basically is adding and deducting, and we get down to the point where we have a net reduction of $56.
Motion?
Mr. President, I would move that we approve supplemental number 3, design agreement as outlined by Stewart.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this supplemental number 3 as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Yeager Road.
Yes, Yeager Road Utility Reimbursement Agreement with Tipmont REMC in the amount of $49,468.52. Covers movies and poles for the Yeager Road project. They're in these poles are in an easement, blanket easement.
Move for approval as outlined.
Second.
Motion and second to approve this reimbursable agreement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Next item is a unofficial local detour agreement with NDOT. Construction on State Road 26 at a small culvert replacement starting October 3rd of this year. Uses County Road 750 West, 300 North, 75 West, 350 North, and 650 West. It's approximately a 4.5-mile unofficial local detour. A mile of that is gravel. The agreement is pretty much open-ended in that we document expenses and for maintenance and repairs, and we are reimbursed.
Mr. President, I would move for approval of the NDOT unofficial local detour for State Road 26 in western Tippecanoe County as outlined.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this unofficial detour. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes. Site development.
Last item we have is a site development agreement for the Steel property out on State Road 38. It's a professional services agreement with Lockmuller Group to begin that work. Services in this agreement include traffic impact study, providing meetings, hearings, railroad communication, 30% design development to work with the railroad for the crossing and the state for the intersection improvement at 38, along with utility coordination. This first agreement is in the total fee not to exceed $101,400.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we approve the professional services agreement as outlined with Lockmuller Group.
Second?
Motion is second to approve this site development agreement as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Thank you.
Next up is a contract with Browning Day. I do know Doug has something he'd like to change on it. Is what you,
I don't think so. I think, or I think did they submit the,
I don't know if they submitted the updated one that I had.
yeah, there was just some, there was a, the only issue was there was a provision in there talking about dispute resolution being through a private judge rather than the normal court system, and that piece I wasn't going to recommend agreeing with. I can't recall if they accepted the strikeout version with what they gave to you, but provided that that change is made, I'd recommend it for approval. And then I would also note that this is kind of a interim agreement anyway. We're going to come up with like a more in-depth, what they call an AIA contract, but this gives them enough to where they can get started, I think, scoping it out and getting started with it. But we're going to have a bigger contract to supplant this, I would assume, in a couple of weeks.
All right. And this is basically the HVAC system out there at 629 to try to get to Morgue on their own air systems and not filter the whole building as such.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we approve that contract with the provisions stated by Mr. Mousen.
Second?
Okay, motion is second to approve this contract as stated with the provisions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Sharon, grants.
Good morning. I have two grants to present to you today. I'd like permission to accept on behalf of the coroner a grant that's supported by the funding from the Bureau of Justice Assistance as well as the Center for Disease Controls and Prevention, because the currently shared data that's supplied to the Indiana Department of Health with reports from the Indiana Violent Death Reporting System, the department will receive $1,776 of equipment from the state-specific list.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we grant permission to accept.
Second?
Motion and second to accept. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Then I would like to ask on behalf of the Health Department a $4,000 grant from Indiana Department of Health for a SNAP Ed funding that will expand the nutritional education practices and food access, as well as supporting families through education and support of the living family health style.
Mr.
Healthy
President?
living family health, whatever. Sorry.
Mr. President, I move for approval as submitted.
And is that to apply? Or
No, that's to accept.
That's to accept. Okay,
Sorry, I didn't put it on your script, Tom.
okay.
Do we have a second?
And how much was it?
$4,000.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the grant as stated. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? That passes.
Thank you.
Reports on file, we have one from the Weights and Measures and another one from the Building Commission. These will be in the Commissioner's office for public viewing if asking. Any unfinished or new business? Any public comment? Entertain that favorite motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.